Riddhi Saluja, Officer Wetlands Ecology with Wetlands International South Asia. So we are all here today to hold a discussion on issues surrounding water and wetlands in South Asia region and to delve into ways wetlands water integration can be pursued in this region. To carry out this plenary session, we have distinguished panelists with us today, and I would be introducing them before we move further into this session. First and foremost, we have Professor Asit K. Biswas, who is the Distinguished Visiting Professor, University of Glasgow, UK, Chairman, Water Management International, Singapore, and Chief Executive, Third World Center for Water Management, Mexico. Professor Biswas is universally acknowledged as one of the world's leading authorities on water, environment, and development-related issues. He has a very distinguished career as an academic, senior public official in Canada, advisor and confidant to presidents, prime ministers, and ministers in over 19 countries. Among his various awards are Crystal Drop and Millennium Prizes of the International Water Resources Association, Walter Haber Prize of the American Society of Civil Engineering, Stockholm Water Prize for his outstanding and multifaceted contributions to global water resource issues. He has been awarded as the Person of the Year from Prime Minister Harper of Canada, also Aragon Environment Prize of Spain. Reuters named him as one of the top 10 trailblazers of water in the world. Imperial magazine, on the other hand, selected him as true global water hero. We welcome you, sir. Our next panelist is Dr. Sonam Wangchuk. He is the founder and advisor, Students' Educational and Cultural Movement, Ladakh. Dr. Wangchuk is a mechanical engineer by education and has been working in the field of education reform for more than 27 years now. In 1988, immediately after finishing his engineering, he founded the Students' Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, which aimed to bring reforms in the government school system in Ladakh. He founded Sekmol Alternative School Campus near Leh, a special school where the admission criteria is failure in exams and not grades. Dr. Wangchuk has been teaching innovation at Sekmol Alternative School, where together with his students, he has designed a low-cost solar heated building, which can maintain a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius when outside or ambient temperatures are as low as minus 15 degrees. He invented the ice stupa, an artificial glacier, which stores the wasting steam waters in winter in the form of giant cones or stupas and releases the water in late spring as they melt. Dr. Wangchuk has earned numerous awards and honors for his work in the field of water resources and in the field of education reforms. And his honors include the Raman Magsaysay Award in 2018, the GQ Man of the Year Award for Social Entrepreneur of the Year 2017, the Rolex Award for Enterprise in 2016, the Terra Award 2016 for World's Best Earth Buildings in Lyon, France. He also was awarded the Green Teacher Award by Century Asia magazine in 2005, to name a few. We are also delighted to have with us our third panelist, Sri Sanjay Srivastav, who is currently the additional PCCF and Chief Executive Officer of Uttar Pradesh CAMPA, which is Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning Authority. He is an IFS officer from 1989 batch and has completed his MTech in hydraulics from IIT and water resource management. He is passionate about wildlife and has a varied experience of managing wildlife, sanctuaries and wetlands of Uttar Pradesh. He has worked as DFO for 4 years, and he has also been in the role of DFO and conservator of forest of endangered species projects for 4 years, managing sanctuaries like Nawabganj, Samas, Hosi, and Sanji bird sanctuaries. With his vast experience in XC2 conservation, he has completed tenures as Director of Lucknow Zoo and Director of Etawah Safari Park. Also under his guidance, has managed to submit the proposals for designation of Ramsar sites, along with the support from Wetlands International and MOEFCC. 7 new Ramsar sites have been declared from the state of Uttar Pradesh. We welcome you, sir. Last but not the least, our final panelist is Mr. Sanjeev Sarangi, who is currently associated with Indian Grameen Services as its vice president. Mr. Sarangi is a development practitioner in the field of environmental conservation and livelihoods. He's currently associated with projects on natural. His work focuses on critical, fragile landscapes in India. Mr. Sarangi completed his other courses in asset-based and citizen-centered from Coady International Institute, Canada, and Arithra Leader from IIM Bangalore. Some of his exemplary work has been in the field of community-based ecotourism, especially at Mangalajodi in Orissa, and rebuilding resilient livelihoods of the R&R project committees. Under his leadership, the Mangalajodi Ecotourism Trust, the MET, was chosen for the United Nations World Trade Organization's Award for Innovation in Enterprise in the year 2008.
So I'll be sharing our experience at Mangalajodi, Odisha. So that is part of Chilka Lagoon. So it's a journey for the people's well-being. This is a community-based ecotourism model, but my presentation will be beyond tourism. So how this initiative actually transforming the whole community. So today's the theme, that is water, wetlands, and life. Absolutely, this is inseparable. This theme is for the day is very, very timely and is the need of the hour for all of us to understand with a common sense and to act upon immediately. So with this start, as you know that the wetlands are the vital for the human survival. So they are amongst the world's most productive environment, which provides the water and productivity of which countless species of plants and animals depend upon. And similarly, it also provides the ecosystem services to the humanity. That includes the freshwater, food, and also acts as a flood control, storm buffer, and also provide the fertile farmland, and also assist in the groundwater recharge. It also plays a role of recreation and tourism, and also contributing towards the climate change mitigation, along with the creation of employment opportunities. So I'll just share a rarest story of community transformation and resilience building at Mangalajodi, what happened. So the state of Odisha, which is situated at the eastern coast of India, is highly susceptible to the climate unpredictability and also change due to high frequency of cyclonic related events. If you see, the east coast of India is one of the 6 most cyclone-prone areas in the world. In the past 100 years, if you see that Indian subcontinent experienced more than 1,000 cyclonic disturbances, of which 890 were at the east coast. So it shows the kind of vulnerability of the east coast of Odisha, and Mangalajodi is no more exception. It's a very small and picturesque fisherman village located at the northern shores of Chilka Lagoon. And this village is having a marshy ecosystem, and also the area is approximately 15 square kilometer. And this wetland is also a great potentiality and have a congregation of more than 300,000 birds during the winter season. And this area is also designated as the important bird area by the BirdLife International. And this is part of the Ramsar site, which Chilika is one of the important Ramsar site in the country. So I'll show two important slides which will give you a very different perspective and thought-provoking scenario. In the first slide, if you see a lot of positive noise on Mangla Jodi. Several stories, articles, blogs, and news items published in renowned magazines, including Sanctuary Asia, Live Mint, Hindu, Indian Express, and so on, that Mangla Jodi is the bird and bird watcher's paradise. But in the second slide, if you go back, the past 2 decades back, the news also covered on rampant poaching of birds, selling the eggs at roadside dhabas, and raid of poachers by the forest department, community conflict, law and order situation every day. The person in the slide at the lower side of the left corner, he is Kishore Behra, who was that point of time was the kingpin of the poachers brigade and often called as Birapan of Mangla Jodi. The village was defamed at that point of time, and people outside quoted Mangla Jodi, the poachers' village. So this was the scenario 2 decades back. So the journey went through various phases. I've just divided into 4 different phases. That is, the one phase that was the poaching phase. That point of time, rampant poaching was there. The villagers were notorious and damaged the ecosystem, and village absolutely defamed in the outside. The youths who were actually studied in the outside of the college and schools are seen in a very different perspective by the outsiders. And then the phase came to the limelight, that was the transformation phase. It was not so easy to reverse the situation. And I must salute to the man, Sri Nandakishore Bhujbal at that time, and the volunteers of Wild Odisha, who really began the momentum of change. They did a lot of consultations, counseling of the community, and then the poachers of the land. And at that time, Chilka Development Authority, who was led by Dr. Ajit Patnaik, he and his team also joined hand with the local forest department and Wild Odisha for the greater cause. So that transformation phase was mostly focused on the building the human relationship and empathy and the realization of the community and the villagers, who also realize that it's a bad thing to do, we are doing, and it is also not absolutely helping our village and the social dynamics, and also the wetland is also disastrous and impacting our livelihoods, because a lot of livelihoods depended upon the wetland. And then coming the third phase, that was for the striving for the decent livelihood opportunity, where we came to the picture. And because after the poachers gave up the poaching activities, because they were getting lucrative money from selling of birds and the eggs, then the livelihood, when they gave up the livelihood, challenges also came to the forefront. And then we tried to using those resources and use of the wetlands, changing the attitude, and started the ecotourism as a low-hanging fruits in the village. And fourth stage, the consolidation phase, absolutely for the sustainability and creating the responsible tourism practices, and also the self-regulation and partnership in place. So which is actually now this phase is going on in the different directions. I'll just come out in the next slides. So the local community, really, they are the earth guardian, and due to the community stewardship, it happened at Mangla Jodi. So probably it is one of the few conservation stories where the transformation happened and for the larger interest of the planet. Then the conservation effort started during the initial phases. The Bird Protection Committee, which was formed with the effort by Wildlife Research, Chilka Development Authority, and local forest department, and then they have started the bird protection of the wetland, because during 2000, in one bird census, the bird population goes down to merely 5,000. It was actually alarmed by the intellectuals. And then the village is also having high poverty, and migration happened by the youth. So to sustain the conservation efforts, creating livelihood opportunity was one of the key areas where RBS Foundation, now the Northwest Foundation India, formerly it was called as the RBS Foundation. And they joined hand with us, Indian Ramen Services, and the local communities to start the partnership, and the stronger partnership basically for the transformation and the community well-being to be ensured. So that conservation efforts includes the rescue of birds, patrolling at the wetland, and also vigilant and monitoring the poaching activities, everything by the community. And slowly the wetland healed gradually, and the bird diversity has also increased, and the people also started managing the wetland, and the anthropogenic pressure due to poaching activities also started decreasing slowly. And it also transformed into a rich bird biodiversity. More than 200 species of birds found in Mangalajodi, more than 115 are migratory. And the recent bird census conducted for across Chilika revealed that 11.42 lakh birds came Chilika Lagoon this year, out of which close to 3 lakh birds congregates at Mangalajodi alone. So the population of the avifauna is the best indicator of health of a wetland ecosystem. If you see that there are endangered species like great knot, and nearly threatened species like river tern, painted stork, black-tailed godwit, Eurasian curlew, all are found in Mangalajodi. And similarly, every year we are having the new findings like the Australian stilt seen during the COVID time, and recently the mallard, and similarly the Chilika buffalo. They are actually the endemic variety which is found around the Chilika and Mangalajodi. They can survive at the saline water salinity of the landscape, and they formed a crucial role in maintaining healthy ecosystem of this area. And similarly, the vulnerable species like fishing cat, that is also found in Mangalajodi. It shows the rich biodiversity of this area. And this wetland is also supports livelihood because of the lot of fishermen community depending for the fishing activities and other allied activities on the wetland. So that was the everyday days in and days out. They are depending upon the wetland of Mangalajodi and Chilka Lagoon. And there are country boat making factory in the Mangalajodi. Currently, there are more than 5 country boat making factory. More than 50 villagers are depending on Mangalajodi for purchasing boats and using it for fishing activities. So then ecotourism started as a potent tool by using wisely using the wetland ecosystem, because there were bird watcher and researchers came to Mangalajodi and visited with the local communities. Then we found that ecotourism is the best way to do it. Then RVS Foundation, currently Northwest Foundation India, supported Indian Grameen services and which joined hand with the local communities and started ecotourism as the low-hanging fruit. Using the knowledge of the exporters on the bird life, they have very good expertise in identifying, spotting the and also the characteristics of the wetland and the birds. So we just wisely use their capacities, and they are the best guide and the boatman of this wetland now. And other services like hospitality and also staying in the village and village learning activities, nature work, and many things happened through continuous and series of trainings and capacity building supports. Apart from us, from time to time, BNHS and Chilka Development Authority also trained the communities for having a great guide skills, as well as the boatmen, how to take the tourists and the visitors venturing into the bird watching activities. So it was not so easy because it was needed a stronger stakeholder web, and we facilitated and connected with many departments and agencies. That includes the Panchayat and the Gram Sabhas and the local community enterprises which we established, and other departments like Chilka Development Authority, Forest Department, Tourism Department, District Administration, travel writers, and of course the local agencies who are actually offering the tourism services. And at the core, the community are at the center, because I believe that community remains the first stakeholder of the whole system. And the impact, if you see over the period of last 10 years, the poaching has been drastically reduced, absolutely negligible or no poaching in Mangalajodi wetland. And through community-driven ecotourism activities, the revenue inflow of village increasing every year, and also the participation of villagers, ecotourism and village development is also increasing. And the youth who earlier went to Chennai, Bangalore for searching for job as a seasonal migrant, and they also opted now to be a guide or hospitality guy in the village and serving for the visitors, because they are also happy seeing the visitors coming from Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, and also outside the country. And also they are also seeing that their village is also published in several national, international newspapers and magazines. So it also created a scope for employment opportunity for the youth as well as the villagers. And this model influenced the regional development strategy, because the government of Odisha during 2014, after realizing the potentiality, so finally declared Mangalajodi as a eco destination. And the convergence efforts by all the stakeholders also gradually increasing, and that is the requirement for the holistic development of the whole initiative. And this also significantly contributing to the sustainable development goal of the United Nations. The few facts, if you see that the last 7-8 years, 10 years of the journey of ecotourism. So I'm just quoting here one community enterprise, that is the Mangalajodi Ecotourism Trust. So the tourist has been gradually increasing, and we also took careful move by segmenting, and the travelers, basically mostly the nature lovers, wildlifers, researchers are our target segment, because we don't want to be a mass tourism destination, but We also can't put a separator that you can come and you can't come. But now we have also conducted a carrying capacity study, and recommendations also came, and we are also working on this. And similarly, the revenue generated for the village is also increasing. And for my estimate, now more than 200 households directly involved in the tourism activities, or providing services in terms of bird watching, in terms of staying at the village, hospitality, local food, and other services. And more than 20 million tourism revenue coming every year to the village. So it also improves and boosts the local economy. And similarly, status of bird census is also the example how the rich biodiversity is all about. On an average, 2.5 to 3 lakh birds congregates every year at Mangalajodi. And similarly, the incident of poaching also almost nil in comparison to other parts of the forest range. And the innovation, I can vouch for the this is the innovation where the community enterprise run and managed and driven by the community, and the local livelihoods are also taken care, and the conservation actions of the wetland and its bird also taken into consideration, and ecotourism in the middle drives the whole integration of the people and planet. And the major part was the mindset shift. It was only happened because of the changed mindset of the community and also other stakeholders. So key focus, the 3 T's are very important for us. One is the enterprise. We when we actually started the ecotourism initiative, we tried to develop the villagers as entrepreneurs, be it a eco guide or a boatman or a hospitality or homestay and village community stay entrepreneurs who are actually offering the tourism services to the potential travelers and the future travelers. And local economy has been taken care. It has been actually growing significantly each year. And local environment, the local ecosystem of the wetland has been taken care. The community representatives are the vigilant and the supervisors of the wetland. They are taking care of the not to have the poaching activities and other dependent anthropogenic pressures who are who are earlier creating the negative impact on the environment that has been changed. So the 3 T's are very, very crucial. And yes, coexistence is possible. The ecosystem revived at the same time. The community participations and because they are actually living in harmony, because days in and days out in the wetland for various purposes, be it for the cattle grazing or the fishing activities or the bird tourism which happens in recently. So that was the key for interconnections and the respect towards the wetland ecosystem. So this is possible, and the project outcome is sustainable livelihoods and a vibrant ecosystem. And finally, the community is getting benefited out of everything. So while doing so, the community initiative is also recognized at national and international level. The UNWTO awarded Mangalajodi Ecotourism in 2018 for the innovation in enterprise, and India Responsible Tourism Award in 2019. This is the USP of Mangalajodi model. So one is the innovation that the transformation, the poachers to protectors, now they are actually protecting and conserving their wetland. And community participation and leadership, they are actually drivers of the whole initiative. And it is market-based solutions, the enterprise and entrepreneurship at the village level. And a stronger partnership is the USP. It only happened when the Northwest Foundation India, Indian Gramin Services, and the community uh, have the partnership, and it's a longer term commitment we are having. And then involvement of government, the Chilka Development Authority, Forest Department, Tourism Department, and district administration. So this has also happened, and this is encouraging, and that was the likely requirement for the long-term sustainability of any wetland ecosystem. And again, clear impact on migratory bird count and biodiversity, as I already mentioned earlier. And it is the environmental sustainable initiative. If you see the boat, that is the country boats without having any diesel operated boats, the hand selling country boats are used for the tourism activities. And financially sustainable, the travelers are also staying at the village, taking local delicious cuisine, and also purchasing the souvenirs, and have the bird safari at the wetland. And it is replicable. Replicability is there. This model can be replicated anywhere in India. And finally, the responsible enterprise. The carrying capacity study we conducted last year, the findings also came recently, and the report. So we are going to have next level of working together. That is the Mangalajodi way forward. Whatever I say earlier, this was not the end of the story. This was for me the beginning of the story. Now we are going for the sustainable tourism dialogue to undertake series of stakeholder consultations at different levels on the carrying capacity study findings. It includes at the Gram Panchayat level, the block level, district level, and state level, including every stakeholders to reflect, to understand, to provide their insights, and have a mutually accepted norms, the self-regulatory framework to be in place in terms of governance, in terms of system to manage ecotourism at Mangalajodi, and to perform better and monitor carrying capacity based ecotourism activities so that the future will not be dark. And similarly, we are also planning to create an enabling environment at Mangalajodi and for a stronger collaboration in place. And government to give special status Mangalajodi and wetland corridors of Chilika. That is also we are thinking why the government to give special status, because it's a community conservation area. It is not a protected area like any other areas. So being a community conservation area and it's a established ecotourism destination, so for the longer impact on the wetland and the water, which are actually going to be a threat for the wetland ecosystem through the sedimentation, because a lot of rivers and the distributaries are actually emitting the Chilka wetland, including Mangalajodi. And over the year, these sedimentations happened. And there are 2 lakh households, over 200 villages are around the Chilika like a necklace. So there are other activities apart from fishing, the farming and the agrarian communities who are depending on agriculture using a lot of pesticides and chemicals. That is also contaminating the river and riverine landscape, and which is ultimately impacting the wetland. So that threat can be checked, because once the government gives a special status to these wetland and wetland corridors, so that will happen in a different kind of integration. And state wetland authority to adopt sustainable wetland centric landscape restoration plan. So my takeaway from this initiative for last more than decade, so and my thoughts which actually I want to share with all of you. So the community always remains the first stakeholder of any wetland. So that is the key. And similarly, we need to establish a solid livelihood linkage of wetland dependent communities with the wetland. So that is very, very essential. Unless we have that linkage, then the local community might not interested to conserve and protect their wetland. And again, building mature level of collaboration among the stakeholders. When I say mature level of collaboration, the collaboration doesn't mean that it is transactional. It should be a transformative one and a longer run commitment with the stakeholders. It's like a co-traveler and the journey with each other. And then need for wetland authorities autonomy. When I say autonomy, autonomy in terms of thinking, acting, crafting the new ways of working, and building stronger collaborations, and also create wetland champions who will take care of future of the wetlands. And similarly, integrated landscape-based in situ and ex situ interventions of the restoration action. So I just remembered Dr. Call in the introductory session just mentioning about the integration. So definitely the in situ and ex situ interventions like the catchment treatment with a lot of soil moisture conservation activities and watershed activities required in the catchment areas that will contribute for the water security of the area, as well as the agriculture as a whole, to encourage the natural farming and ecological farming practices in the wetland dependent communities, so that the chemical ridden farming system need to be transitioned, and that will reduce the impact of water contaminations, which is actually going to be a disaster for the wetland ecosystem. And above all, sustainable consumption and production practices to be encouraged landscape. It includes the water in the form of drinking water or irrigation water or energy or waste generated, and similarly the production practices to be very sustainable and low impact, and building resilience of the communities and stakeholdership for the community-based climate adaptation practices. So that's the key takeaway, and I want to bring to this table. And I will stop here and would happy to take few questions. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot, Dr. Ritesh Kumar and Dr. Kaul, for inviting me for this rich conversation today.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjeev, for sharing this fascinating success story, which has led to transformation of poachers into protectors. As you've rightly said, that community could be the crusader of change in the way the wetlands are managed, and it can lead to various opportunities in the way of sustainable development. Local actions can certainly have long-lasting impacts and ensure conservation and management of wetlands in a way